Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. Blessings to you. Happy Sunday evening. This is Valerie
And Benny.
and Benny and Benny. We say good evening to you all. We want to jump on tonight just to encourage, to motivate, to inspire, to enlighten. Talking tonight about marriage and ministry. No, we're not sitting before you all today claiming that we have all the answers because we don't.
You sure?
We don't have all the answers. um, we are, I'll speak for me first. I am grateful, most grateful to God for my husband. Benny and I have been married now for almost 6 years, right? Almost 6 years. And he's not my first marriage or my second. I've done this thing before based on what I wanted and got what I was looking for, which was not what God wanted for me. But I am now continuing to grow in the understanding of what God desires for me and for marriage. And I'm grateful for a man who came into my life where I was full-fledged. Right, babe?
Full-fledged.
I was full-fledged in ministry. Oh, yeah. He came into this with looking at this woman like, what is she doing? What are you doing? Like, what is this 5 o'clock in the morning? What is this, all this prayer? What's all these conversations? And what is all of this going on? And he's just like, but it's what I needed. It's what I needed. And so tonight we're just going to talk. If you've got questions, we'll try to answer them. I am a counselor. I'm not really trying to wear my counselor hat tonight, but I'll put it on if I need to. But we're just here to sort of talk to you all, to help you navigate the path. Because the truth of the matter is that in the midst of this pandemic, there are many marriages that are on the rocks. And I'm not just talking about marriages in the world. I'm talking about marriages for those who are in ministry. Many people are struggling because where they have had the liberty to move about and be separate, now you're in the house together. Now you're constantly on top of each other, constantly in each other's space. You're not knowing how to separate the ministry from being married. Like, when do you wear one hat and when do you take off the other role, and how do you communicate it, and when is somebody trying to overstep a boundary? Like, I'm talking a lot, and I told Benny I wanted him to talk first, but
I'm just you're saying some important things. But what a lot of people say, the husband is the head, but I'll get into that in a few minutes.
Well, you know what, babe? That's a good thing, because this is what we believe. This is what I feel. We reflect God first and then each other.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
We reflect God first and then each other. When we talk about, you hear people talk about the man being the head, and we as the wife, we submit to our husband. And sometimes, just depending upon your roles in ministry, you have a woman who is strong and in her flow, and the man who is settled and okay with where he is and maybe not making the same kind of moves. And so sometimes it looks as though the woman is trying to usurp authority, or she's trying to take over, and those kinds of things. Y'all, I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about anybody else. No, I'm just expressing.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of people see Benny and I, because Valerie's out there. Like, she's on the radio. She's writing books. She's speaking. She's traveling. And you don't see Benny a lot. And you're like, well, what's going on there? How does that even work? So, babe, you can speak to that.
Well, prior to our marriage, I spent a lot of time in the community doing a lot of different things. And it was actually, this is, was not my first marriage. And I was actually out doing the things sort of what you're doing. I was not connected. I knew of God, but I wasn't spiritually connected to the Lord like I should be. And so um, I've anybody who know who I am, I've done a lot um, in the communities that I've lived in, and I've taken an active role in doing a lot of different things. But right now, it's about me. You know, like I guess taking. I'm not taking a back seat. I'm still doing things, but in a different fashion, and it's all for what God wants me to do. Um, you know, I always say this: it's not where you start; it's where you finish. So He's got me in a place right now where I'm doing some things that He wants me to do, and I'm trying to be obedient to what He.
You're being obedient. You're not trying.
Yeah, to what He wants me to do. So, you know, I remember working on a job one time, and I got promoted, and the supervisor didn't pretty much didn't like the way I was doing things. But I believe in being ethical, and I believe in being treating people as I want to be treated. And I'm saying all of that to say this. So after I was promoted, he says, "Wow, you changed. You've just changed on me." And so when I started to be, it was doing some instruction, and when I started doing some of the things that I was doing, it was, I guess, different from what he thought I might do. I'm going to be loyal. I'm going to be authentic as possible, and I'm going to be ethical as possible. So I sort of I know my role. I know when I'm supposed to move. I know when I'm not supposed to move. So I spend a lot of time listening to what God wants me to do, and at this point, I realize that you are doing the counseling piece and writing books, but I see that He has put you in that position, and so for our marriage to really do what God wants it to do, if I was really fighting against it and doing, or even some people look at it this way: it's not a competition. I'm not trying to outdo you. You're not trying to outdo me. But right now, you're doing what He asked you to do, and I don't get in the way of that. Now we do have discussions as to, well, did He tell you to do that?
Right.
And if I'm not hearing that He told you to do that, I'll bring that to your attention.
You will.
And then we will act accordingly. But so when we're talking about doing His will first, and then He'll place things in order.
Yeah.
And
and so let me just sort of speak to that. I put up there right there: no competition, no envy. We are one, and we have to operate in that mindset. There have been times that Benny and I have had conversations where I'm like, and I've said it. I mean, I've said it openly in teachings. But why would, if we are one flesh, me competing against him is competing against myself? If God brought us together as one, then we should operate as one in one mindset. And when I put up there that we reflect God first and then each other, I am Valerie, but I am a servant of God, and I am Benny's wife. So anything that I do, as much as God is expanding me, He's enlarging my territory, He's doing all those things. But as He is enlarging me, He is also enlarging our marriage, which is our first ministry. So I have to be mindful of that. And like he said, there are times when I'm sensing to do a certain thing, and He won't say much, but He'll give me a look. And He'll, like, you see how He's looking right now? You see that look right now? He'll sort of give me that look like, what you getting ready to do? Like, where you getting ready to go? Like, what is this really about? And in those moments, we take the time to talk about it, because I never want to. I never want to get ahead of God, but I also never want to be in a place where I'm looking as though I'm getting ahead of my husband and doing what I want versus doing what's best for us. Because there are going to be times, I believe, and for anybody that's out there that's married, that's doing this thing too, and you have a different opinion or a different idea, please share that. But I sense in my spirit, even now, like there's some things that I'm about to do. And I have to be very strategic about my movement. Like, if I have to travel, I can't just be traveling and going for months at a time and leave my husband. This is my husband. My marriage is my first ministry. I can't abandon my husband. And I can hear somebody, well, the Lord called me to do international ministry. Okay, fine. Where's your husband? Because if you ain't handling home and you always gone and all you get is a FaceTime and some posts on Facebook and a Snapchat here or there or whatever, and you're not handling home, I don't believe that's God's plan. I believe you got to take care of home first and make sure home is set before you can even think about going out and doing anything anywhere else. How you gonna leave your first ministry to go out and do what you say God called you to, and you're not even handling home?
But and of course, like I said, there's a lot of things that I do, and people don't see it, and they don't have to, because I'm doing it for God. I'm not doing it for serving His people, and I just know that, and I agree with you that sometimes people don't talk about things, and then they just go and want to do it, or someone may be bullheaded and say, God told me to do this, and I'm going to do it. I don't care what you say. And
Wow.
and is God really telling you to do it?
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Hey, Minister Becky. Hey, Nina. Hey,
so don't lie on God, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely. No,
say God
absolutely.
told you to do it, and
God didn't. When it's contrary, if you know that what you're about to do is going to cause a rift in your marriage, yeah, don't try to put that on God, saying that God told you to do it, and come on now, come on. For me, when I travel, before I even take an assignment that's going to cause me to be out away from home for a day or more, what's the first thing I do, babe?
Well, if I'm not around, you'll call and say, listen, I just got this. What do you think? What I need to do, or, but you always call and say, somebody just asked me to do this. And I'm gonna be honest about it. Sometimes I'll tell her it's a distraction.
Yeah.
It's a diversion. Can you see that? Because sometimes God will show me things even before she calls, and so I don't, and so I try to stay in tune to what she's doing, because if she doesn't see the distraction, or she don't see where somebody's trying to divert her, or whether, and I don't call it the devil, because I don't give him that credit.
Right.
He don't get that credit, because God's going to tell me what he's getting ready to do before he even comes and try to do what he's trying to set up. So if both of us stay on one accord,
yeah,
sometimes she can see things that I don't see, and then she'll be able to communicate that to me by way of how the Holy Spirit has revealed something to us. And I always say that we get things in bits and pieces, but I try to stay in tune to what's going on. And she is a busy lady, assisting people and empowering people to empower others, because, having the power and authority that God has given us is one thing, but then we have to also feed into other people.
Yeah.
And then, of course, people have to do the same thing to us. So we want to be connected to the right people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that we can just thrive together. If I'm doing one thing and she's doing another, and we pull in different ways, we can't be operating in what God's will, purpose, and plan for us is if we're just haphazard.
Cohabitating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so we
and we see that a lot. I mean, you're married to each other, but you walk past the hall, you walk in the hallway and you're not talking. You're not sitting down together and you're not having dinner. You know, you're sleeping in separate rooms. And
that's
no, come on. You know, you can, don't let the sun go down mad at your spouse. Don't have, you know, spend time to talk. Like when we first got married, our first year together, I didn't take ministry engagements outside of just doing the radio broadcast and prayer, I think, right? Prayer and teaching. The prayer, the teaching, and the radio broadcast is all I did our first year together. But I didn't take any outside engagements. And during that first year, we spent time with pillow talk. We don't pillow talk as much anymore. We snore.
Yeah.
But we used to have pillow talk. A lot of times we were, you know, just getting to know each other and building a rapport and a oneness together to get a feel for what God wanted to do with us. Because again, it wasn't our first marriage for either of us. And so, you know, we've got our own structure, our own way of doing things, our own way of thinking. And now we're submitting to God's plan to do it solely God's way, to be led by his spirit, to ensure that what we're doing as husband and wife is going to bring God glory. And so there's some things now that I still stick him about. I'm just like, study with me, like pray with me, like talk to me, like all those things are necessary components to help strengthen your marriage. Because a lot of people think that marriage is just about sex and money and power. But it's about intimacy with the Father and intimacy with each other. Like sitting here beside him now with my hand on my knee and him looking at me with those eyes that he got, like that's sexy to me. That's sexy to me because that's quality time with my husband, where now we're bonding and we're together and we're sharing, and God is pleased because it's our desire to empower people. I can tell you about our mishaps, our mistakes, our trials, our tribulations, and the things that God has done to strengthen us to get through it. And he can do the same thing. And it's our hope that as we're sharing these things with you, you will come to a realization that every day is not going to be happy dory, hunky dory. Every day is not going to be happy, joy. Every day is not going to be peaches and cream. There are going to be some days you're facing challenge. There are going to be some days when you're asking questions. There are going to be some days that you're feeling some kind of way. And when those things happen, you can't get so overwhelmed in them that you lose focus of the fact that your marriage is still your first ministry.
Absolutely. You know, I it's just so many things that, you know, we got to think about when we're talking about, you know, that unity. It's just it's like a team. You know, I listen to people talk about football, basketball, and all the different types of teams that they work with. And what about that spiritual team? What about that marriage team? What about that, you know, that husband and wife team? You know, at one time people used to call us the power couple. Well, you know, I liked it at one point, and then I says, well, you know, we're not. We're just trying to help others be their best. Yeah. But we have to be our best as well. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't like going out and talking to people about things that I'm not working on myself. You know. That's real talk, babe. And so. And we got to keep it real because people know, they know. I remember when what my older brother told me one time when I was living in the city. He says, when you're walking down the street, those members of the gang, they can feel your strength. They can feel your weaknesses. Yeah. They know when things ain't right, when things aren't. So when you walk, your walk and your talk has to be, you know, standing on a firm foundation, and so that, you know, people, you don't want people to you don't want to try to fake people.
Yeah.
I remember somebody saying fake it till you make it. No.
No. No.
We totally disagree
No.
with that. You got to do it right.
Yeah.
You got to be authentic. You got to and don't you can't make pretend, because people can see through it.
Yeah.
People can see through it. So
and if we don't tell on ourselves, we'll tell on each other. I mean, because imagine we sitting here trying to have this conversation with you tonight, and we having beef.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what that would look like? Boy, please get off! Don't be touching me. Get off me! And don't touch me. Don't talk to me. You know, we wouldn't be able to do that, right? And there are times that we've gone places and we've seen the preacher, the man in the pulpit preaching, and the wife sitting there like this.
Yeah, and
I wish you really. Oh, that's what you're doing. Come on, y'all. No. Let's take care of the marriage so that when we go out and either one of us is speaking, we can celebrate. Like, you better say that. You better teach that word. You better whatever it is they're doing. Support. Be their biggest fan. Be their biggest supporter. Like my new book, right? My new book was delivered to the house, right, while I was with my daughter. And so I said, hey, babe, do me a favor. Take a picture of the book and, send me a picture of the book. Okay, what did he do? That's my biggest fan, y'all. But I'm going to tell you, I felt some kind of way. He went and got the book. He took the book out. He did this big post. Hey, the books are in. And I'm like, babe, why you ain't let me do that first? And he was like, well, the books came. I opened the box. I got the book. I took the picture. And I was like, you know what? I want to be a little salty, but at the same time, I celebrate.
And I didn't stop at that.
He took the book to work.
I took one of the books to work and didn't stop at that. Here, she says, I need you to mail these books. So I laid them all out on the sofa. And
took another picture.
I took a bad picture, but I still posted it. And then, so I posted and says, they're in the mail. If you ordered one, they're in the mail.
Yeah.
Which I should have let her do that, but
he's my biggest fan.
We if we say we're one, then I'm thinking ahead of her. I'm thinking for her, and so and when I take a book out of the box, which I always do, she says I never read the books, but if I'm not familiar with what the content is in that book, I'm not sending that book out. I'm not giving that book to no one, and I'm not, So,
babe, for real, you read one now?
I always read them, but sometimes it takes me a few days because I'm taking. But what I'm saying is that, but I wanna know what's in it.
Yeah, you have to.
So if I don't know what's in it.
You can't promote it.
The other day, I took a picture. I had a picture, and I said, "Oh no, I can't post this picture. I got to show it to her first." And she said, "Well, let me clean this background up."
Yeah.
I'll clean the background up and have some fun with the picture, while still, utilizing that picture. So it was kind of fun. I look at the picture and I said, "Oh my God!" I showed everybody. I say, "Oh, she's so talented. Look here. She done took the whole background and changed it." And, but, I was not going to post that picture without, and sometimes I don't even post anything on Facebook without her editing it, because sometimes I'll just, I might be speaking into the phone and I'll post it and then, maybe have something misspelled or something like that. And when we talk about the empowerment place being a ministry, and we're in this together for God, if I'm posting something that's not right, or if I even say something that's not right, vice versa, we don't want to give the ministry a black eye, not even talking about ourselves,
right?
And that's why I say being, ethical, authentic, and try to be precise when we're talking about what God wants us to do. I've studied leadership I've been in leadership positions, but after working 30 years in a leader, being in a leadership position, doing all the community stuff that I did, now I am fine tuning it with
ministry.
Well, I have, and the ministry is one of the things that we have to fine tune and get people understanding. But if they don't understand a marriage, then they're not going to understand what teamwork is.
Yeah.
And teamwork that's what it is, bringing together and
perfecting our differences in each other and in God.
And I think, most people misinterpret in the understanding of what, Ephesians 4:11 is talking about, when it talks about the teachers and preachers and the apostles and, and all that. And then saying, but then they forget about the perfecting of the saints,
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing in the empowerment place in this relationship, in this marriage, is trying to perfect
in each other
what God's will, plan, and purpose is for us. And again, with her, with people seeing her a lot, speaking and things like that, we do talk about what, and I will never ask her this question, and it's one of my pet peeves, and I'm gonna say this, but I will never ask her.
Yeah.
Before she goes to deliver a word,
what is God saying?
What is God saying?
Yeah.
Because if I do, and then I interject, it's not what God is saying to her, it's what he's saying to me.
You. Yeah.
Or maybe he's not. And I interject. And then I've taken her totally off. That's what I call a distraction. Take her totally off what message she was supposed to deliver. Now, tonight, she did not say anything to me as to, we're just going to go on and we're going to talk to people, talk to couples, about relationship, about marriage. And that's all she gave me. Yeah. And you know what? I did not ask her, what else did the Holy Spirit give you?
No,
I'm not going to ask that question, because what I believe is, and I'm trust and believe that God will tell me and lead, guide, and direct me as to what I need to say, what I need to do. Yeah. And so I won't ask her that question. Now, after we get off and we go and we're starting to say, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you was going to talk about all that. Or I didn't know you was going to say that. But, that's just the way it works.
It is. It is.
And so not planned, not
scripted.
Not scripted. So,
but just being led by the Spirit of God. And, I know that there are times when, I honor my husband as the head of our home. I do. And sometimes I know he doesn't feel like it because I am.
I do. Because you ask me, you always ask me before you do stuff.
I do.
And so it's up to me to, and I'll say,
to receive that.
Yeah. So
that's good, babe.
To say that, I don't think that's right. And I say this all the time. So I didn't want to break your thought, but it's I don't never
that's good.
I don't ever think any different than that. Yeah.
But I do. I esteem my husband in our household. And there are times that we have differences of opinion. There are times that our stride is different. Although we walk together as one, there are some times that he might look at me and I'm in a slow trot and he at a fast pace, or he might see me and it looks like I'm sprinting and he's strolling. But even in the movement that we have as we are fulfilling the assignment of God, I don't pass him and not acknowledge him. I don't sit down and not have a communication with him. I'm still attached to him with whatever speed I'm moving in, because again, I understand that our marriage is my first ministry. And if my marriage is out of sync, then anything that I try to do outside of my marriage is also going to be out of sync. If I'm not in alignment to hear what God is saying to me about how to take care of my husband, then how then am I going to expect him to give me an ear to hear about what to say to a stranger?
Yeah. So, and I've like, again, I've been in different leadership roles, and a lot of people dismiss these things, and I'm gonna I'll tell you this, when it comes to marriage, you can't be bullheaded about it. You got to do what the word says, and act accordingly as to what God is leading you to do. But I've been in different positions of coaching, leading people, and I've been very. I was successful in those different roles. So trying to help catapult you to your next. It's just one of the things.
So let me ask, because again, we've shared, and if you all have any questions, put them down. If we can address them, we will. So, babe, because this has been a multiple marriage for both of us, how do you feel like you're able to navigate marriage with me different than what you've done in the past? Not measuring.
I can't.
No. I'm not asking you to measure the relationship, but I'm saying that, is there a different mindset that you have in this marriage based on what you had then? Is there a different understanding of what marriage is? Is there a different understanding and understanding your role in marriage, understanding the dynamics of love? Because a lot of times, I'm just talking for me, I entered into a relationship based on what my flesh needed, based on what my situation needed, and not necessarily based on what God wanted for me. And as I stated in the beginning, when you and I got married, we got married suddenly.
Understood. Yeah.
We got married suddenly. Like, we talked on December 26th. We saw each other on December 31st. We were married on January 17th.
Yeah. But
right? But we had known each other for 30 plus, over 30 years, but only came back together in that short window and were married suddenly. And in that suddenly move, in those first conversations with Benny, from the 26th until the 31st, when we saw each other, it was already settled in my spirit that I was going to be his wife. It was already settled in my spirit that there was going to be no question about, oh, maybe, or we'll try it out, or we'll see. No, when we saw each other on New Year's Eve, when he showed up for our first date after all these years, I didn't get glammed up, y'all. I was barefoot with leggings, a t-shirt, and my hair pulled back in a ponytail. No makeup, no nothing. I don't even think I had on earrings. I was in the kitchen cooking him a meal, and he was sitting there looking at me. Why? Because I was already settled. I was not playing games. I was not doing no, I'm going to show you this now, and then I'm going to show you something else later. What you saw was what it is, and I moved that way because I knew in my spirit that God was taking me to a place where I needed to be versus the place where I desired to be on my own.
And I knew who you were, 30 something years earlier. And the desire is for people to just be what God had them to be. And we all have our struggles. We all have the ups and downs, but, to do the things that you were doing, empowering people, that's what it's all about. It's not just about me empowering people. It's about us empowering people, living the purpose that God, wants us to live. And, I saw that you were just doing so many different things, and that's important. If I'm if I was say, like, I was on the town council, I would expect that you would probably be
supporting
not on the town council, but you may be
active in the
but you may be
yeah.
The mayor, and so what I'm saying is that we're both working towards the same common goal.
Yeah.
It's not about me.
Yeah.
It's about us.
Us as one.
Doing what
God, one. See, one.
Doing what God wants us to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's the most important thing, is that I'm not out just doing everything and you doing nothing to enhance. I'm talking about enhancing people. It's not about enhancing me.
Yeah.
I always say this: at my age, I just want to see other people have the opportunity that maybe I didn't have, because I can impart something into them. But it's about doing the will, plan, and purpose of what God has. So that's the difference.
And yeah, that is. And let me say this too, because a lot of times people go into marriages not ready. And when I say not ready, if you've been in relationships prior to what you're about to walk into, and you've not cleaned up your stuff, if you've still got residual feelings, if you've still got strongholds, if you've still got bitterness, if you've still got unforgiveness, if you've not gotten yourself to a place of understanding for self, then a lot of times you wanting to move into another relationship is in order for you to satisfy something outside of God's intent for marriage. And so I tell people all the time, before you prepare yourself for somebody else, get yourself prepared.
Absolutely.
Before you go after something else with someone else, get yourself together. Because you can go into a marriage broken. A lot of people go into marriage broken thinking that they're going to get with the next person and they're going to fix them. No, get yourself fixed first and then prepare for the relationship. Because if you broke and they broke and two broke people come together thinking that two broke people going to fix two broke people, y'all going to end up being more broke than you were when you got there. Because you can drive each other crazy. And it doesn't always happen, but generally you're going to drive each other crazy because I'm trying to fix you. You trying to fix me. You don't fix you. I don't fix me. We trying to do all this, and then we're trying to do stuff, and then we're trying to move forward, and we're trying to hear God, and we're trying to hear each other, and we're trying to do this, and we're trying to do that. And y'all, I'm talking about me now. I'm talking about me because I did that. I went into relationship behind relationship behind relationship, and Valerie was not fixed. Valerie wasn't fixed. And so I went through a whole lot of mess, broken and bruised, and not taking the time to heal before I got to the place of realization that, Valerie, you need help first.
But, I know one of the things that you communicated to me is, and a lot of people don't understand this as well, is the forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Oh, absolutely.
But I think it's a song. It says, "I forgive me."
I forgive me. And if you can't, come on.
You have to forgive.
You have to.
And then
if you can't forgive yourself before moving forward into a marriage, it's going to cause you some pain. Hey, A.D. Walker, God bless you. Thanks for joining. Hey, Joseph. Hey, LaVon. God bless you. Thank you all so much for those who've come on and for those who've shared. Thank you so much. You got to forgive yourself. You got to forgive yourself and forgive each other. Again, not everything is going to be great. Not every day is going to be a happy day. But if Benny does something that bothers me, I'm going to look at him crazy for a couple of days and he'll be like, how many faces you going to make today? What's that face about? And I'll be like, what you talking about? What does my face say to you? And he'd be like, oh, okay, nothing. And then I'll make another face. And he'd be like, well, what's that face for? And I was like, well, what does my face say to you? What did I say? And I'm just blah, 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 blah. And he's just going,
when I worked in the school, I had one of these face charts.
Oh, God.
And it tells you, you could immediately point out a sad face.
Okay, we got a question. Okay, go ahead, babe. Finish that.
Mm-hmm. But it don't work with her. You can point out that face. It's not what you say. She make a sad face look happy, or a happy face look sad.
So. Yeah, so you can't really read me, but
If you know her, then
if you know that. But you know what we're saying. The question is, should you try to even fix each other?
I say no.
No. What needs to be fixed in us as individuals? If we've not taken the time ourselves to fix us, and if we're not trying to build with God what needs to be fixed in us, it's going to be a hard thing for somebody else, especially your spouse, to try to fix you. Because what ends up happening is that if I'm always pointing out your flaw, you're going to start resenting that. And you're going to be like, oh, so all you want to do is point out my stuff? Well, why don't you look in the mirror and look at your own stuff?
Never fix anything.
Nothing's ever going to get fixed, because then you're going to be bickering with each other about what you see. You're going to be looking, knowing that you got something in your own eye. You got your own stuff that needs to be dealt with. But if you're constantly saying, well, you're wrong, you did that wrong, and you did that wrong, you're not even taking time to look at yourself. Because I'm sure that while you're trying to figure out what's wrong with them, they're looking at you saying, well, what you doing with your stuff? So no, take the time. That's why I say, before you go into this thing, take the time to get yourself together, to know what you need for you before you start going in and trying to navigate the path with somebody else. Let me put on my glasses. What you saying, baby?
I sort of posted something today, and the main point of that is, if you inspire a person, if you lift them up, then they're whatever those imperfections are that you don't like, they're going to go away. Because one thing is you're going to change the atmosphere. You should be able to by just being what God wants. Yeah. And so if I told you every day that just negative. If I was negative Benny every day, then I'm going to get negative Valerie. So, absolutely. So like I say, you try trying to fix people. You can't do that. And then too, but you got a model of behavior that you want to see. And one thing that we understand, and Kevin, I'm going to get to your question, and Angela, you as well. One thing that I say, and I've said this to my husband, because I'm a plus size woman. I have been for most of my life, and I have those days that I want to lose weight and I want to get a little thin. And I know, y'all look, I know. My husband don't want me skinny. Y'all hear me? My husband does not want his wife skinny. I don't care how much I talk about losing weight. My husband, y'all see that smirk on his face, right? My husband does not want a skinny wife. So I have to, I deal with that. I'm going to be healthy, but my husband doesn't want me little. Because when I say, babe, I'm doing good, I'm doing this, that, you know what he do? He goes to the store and buy cookies. All the cookies that I like. He buy all the junk food that I like. He buy the stuff that he know I shouldn't eat for me to eat, because he be, oh, well, babe, I know you like that. I get it. But what I'm saying is that if there's something about me that Benny would desire to see in me that I'm not doing, that as my husband, I depend on him to help cultivate that. I'm not looking to him to say, that's wrong, that's right, that's wrong, that's right. But if we're trying to grow together as one, being what God would desire us to be, then I'm going to trust him to help cultivate me, to get me to that place. Now, I'm not going to have him walking around looking tacky. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. There's certain things I'm be like, you need a haircut. I'm going to say those things to him because we're a reflection. But I'm never going to say, ooh, this. But I'm going to help cultivate him because, again, we reflect God first, and then we reflect each other because we're one. Kevin said, how can you find a good person? It depends on what your definition of a good person is. What you really want is a God person. You really want a God person. You really want somebody that's connected to God, that understands the alignment of God, that understands the power of marriage so that you all can grow together in that to fulfill purpose. And that's what marriage is about. It's about fulfilling purpose according to God's plan. Yes, it's nice that they can look good. It's nice that you can sit beside them and they got good smelling breath and they take a bath. It's good that they got money in their pocket. All of that stuff is good. But you want to get with somebody that's a sign. A man that finds a wife finds a good thing. So start looking for the God person. And if you find the God person, I promise you they're going to be good. And, I always ask this question to couples when I first meet him, to ask him, how did y'all come together?
Mm-hmm.
Because in the word, it does say that a man who finds a wife finds a good thing.
Right.
If a woman is out looking for a man and she finds him, that's contrary to what the word is saying.
That's
so.
I've been there, done that.
And so I'm not saying it won't work, but I'm just saying that
use God's plan.
Use God's plan. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so, when I was, I guess I was 19 or 20 years old, I saw her.
Yeah.
I saw her standing in the commons area at the school, and I did a double take, and I said, "Wow." And I wasn't attached to. I knew God, but I didn't know. It's like I always use the example or the analogy of Clark Kent, not Clark Kent, Superman. Didn't know his powers. He could snatch a door off the hinges because he didn't know his power.
Right.
But when he learned how to
navigate that, man,
then he'd walk through the door
speaking things
and do things that if he wanted to snatch it off, he would. If he didn't, he didn't.
Yeah.
So my point is that in this analogy is I knew who she was. I just didn't know God. I hadn't fine-tuned.
You had to activate the gift within
the
you
gift that I had
to go after it. And the truth of the matter is, y'all, I saw Benny then. I did. But like I told you, before you can prepare yourself to be with somebody, you have to be right. You have to be ready. And I told Benny that then, had I engaged with him then, I was not in the right place. I was broken. I was severely broken. And had I gotten with him then in the state that I was in, I would have probably done detriment to his life.
And it may have been.
And it may have been,
because I when I look and I think back, and I'm like, God told me that's her. There was a lot of people that, but
we had to wait it out.
And so sometimes life happens that way. But that's where I was, and of course I moved on and I moved on and moved on. And that was just
and then God brought it back to us.
Yeah. It was a journey.
To bring it back to us in a dream. Angela posed a question. Do you recommend that single men and women create lists of what they desire in a mate? You can create the list, but I don't know who you're going to share the list with. Because because sometimes what we desire in a mate is not what we need. Sometimes what we want is not what we need.
I agree with that. But my answer to that would be, it's not, okay, don't take the cookie cutter out. Because, some people might not.
They won't fit the mold.
You may have somebody that you don't have to write that stuff, because guess what? They like to talk. So they'll talk it out. And there's no need to writing something that you can talk, about, and then you might find somebody that they're not going to articulate their feelings. And I'm one of those people that probably would need to write it out.
But I think
because I might not be able to articulate.
I think that when you're writing lists about what you desire, sometimes you're limiting what God wants to do.
Yeah.
You say, oh, I want them to have this, and I want them to have this, and they've got to have this, and they've got to do this, and I want them to look this way. You're limiting what God might want to do. You asking for him to come one way, and God want to bless you with something that you haven't even thought about.
Of course, you got to think about this too. When you're spiritually connected, when you utilize the Holy Spirit to
He'll reveal to you
and direct you,
He'll reveal
you
it.
don't need that anyway.
You don't need the list anyway, because you're gonna be led by the Spirit of God and not by your list.
Yeah.
So sometimes if you write the list, you're gonna do yourself a disservice, because you're gonna only write down on that list based on your mindset, needs, your wants, your desires. Yes. But you have to, if you're gonna write a list, write it according to what the Spirit of God says. And write it down according to what the Spirit of God says. Because the Spirit of God might say something you don't want to hear.
That's right.
And then you're going to be like, oh, never mind. I ain't going to write this list.
I won't write that.
I ain't going to write this list because Lord have mercy. He telling me that this man might not look like I want him to look. He might not be 6'2". Like y'all got to know, Benny is not my type. Benny was not the type of man that I would have dated. Joseph says, Apostle was waiting for me. Well, we were waiting for each other, Joseph. It was in God's timing. But I was used to a bigger man that with an athletic build, like he was a bigger man with an athletic build and stature, bigger.
One of those that on the basketball court.
Yeah.
I could dominate because he was too slow.
whatever. But I was just used to a big guy because I'm a plus size woman, so I was used to somebody bigger than me. And so here is. I used to call him Barney Fife back in the day. Like I was like, this Barney Fife cat, like whatever.
I wasn't even.
No, but when you were working in police, that's what I used to say. That's what I used to say. He was the Barney Fife.
Understood.
That's who he was. But then
just like him,
still just like him.
He was my idol.
But when he came into my life, when God brought us together, seeing Benny, I didn't even see Benny. I didn't see any attributes of Barney Fife. I saw the man that God intended for me. I saw my truth. I saw my reality. I saw my now. I saw what God wanted. That was very different from any and everything that Valerie had ever anticipated for my life. And it was amazing. And it still is amazing that, people question, wow, y'all got married so quick. How? There were some people that would see us after our first few months and swear that we've been together forever. And then those who were just like, God, y'all have been together. How long have y'all been together?
They
and
just
we were
knew
like,
that all these years that we've been just.
Yeah, we just got married. We just
doing
got married.
Whatever. I didn't even see her. I didn't.
So, we're just here to encourage you. Marriage takes work, but marriage has to be done according to God's plan. And it's not always easy, and you're not going to always agree, and you're going to have some bumps in the road. There's some days that I look at him and go, and he just look at me and be like, all right, babe, I'll see you later. Okay. And I'd be like, okay. And he come on back, and we just keep it moving, and we're constantly praying for each other. He's listening even when I know he's listening and he act like he's not listening. I know he's listening. I know he's interceding on my behalf. I know he's my number one fan, as I am for him. I want to support him in whatever endeavor he has. Sometimes I'm pushing him and he's just going, whoa, wait a minute. But we both are understanding that God has great things in store for us as a couple. As individuals, of course, but we don't even qualify that way. We are husband and wife. We are one.
But I trust him.
Yes.
And so because I trust him and he's never failed me yet, I'm just doing what he tells me to do. Like I say, her books, her engagements,
coaching,
whatever she is doing. I am. You may not see or hear from me, but I'm doing what he's got me doing, and there's a preparation. There's a preparation that's going on that I don't even understand at this point.
How about that?
So he gives us stuff in bits and pieces, and so all I do is, I used to say, people used to say this, giving me this nugget, he gives me bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And,
because we know in part, we prophesy in part.
And so
we don't get the whole thing. We don't get the puzzle. We don't get all the puzzle pieces and get the puzzle put together in a snap. It's strategic work that has to be done. And you do that same strategic work in your marriage. You get the big picture. You see that it looks great. But then there's sometimes those pieces. Don't try to force anything. Don't try to force it. Make sure that it's a gradual fit, like it slides into place. When you're trying to force things to make things look a certain way or be a certain thing, no. Allow the Spirit of God to help you maneuver every step of your marriage. Every step of your marriage. The steps of the righteous are ordered by God, Even in your marriage, allow it to be orchestrated according to God's plan so that there is no envy, there's no competition. I put that out there earlier. There's no competition and no envy in our marriage. In his walk, in my walk, in his work, in my work, there's no competition. There is no envy. We are one and we operate in that mindset. Why? Because our ministry is our first ministry. And then we reflect God first, and then we reflect each other. So we just wanted to drop on tonight to encourage you all, to let you know marriage is worth it. Marriage is wonderful. Marriage is wonderful.
It is.
It's wonderful.
One of my coworkers, I believe he just got married today. And so everybody was asking him, are you ready? And he'd say, yes, I am. I'm ready. And nobody can't talk me out of this. You know, even if I'm nervous at the last minute, nobody's going to talk me out of this because I know. And he shared something with me that was important. And he says, and I didn't say anything to him, but he says, you know what? I've always been a spiritual person. You may see me this way and that way, but I've always understood God. And that gave me a good feeling. If he feels that way, and then, you know, even mentioning that, wow, it's, you know, I'm like, that's a good
foundation.
I like to hear that. You know what? That's where it needs to start. Yeah. It needs to start having God
as your foundation.
As your foundation.
Absolutely.
And then the rest of it is
He'll set in order. He'll set in order. He's set in order. Well, look, y'all, thanks so much. We didn't plan on being here this long, but thank you so much for joining us. We'll probably do this again maybe next month.
Well, I don't know about that, but it was good to
yeah, it was good to come and share. We've not done it in a while. We're always here, you know. We've not done it here in West Virginia, but we did marriage and couple things when we were in VA, and we're open to doing them again.
And it's not even February.
And it's not, you know, and so it's starting in January, though. If you're planning to get married in 2021, if you're a couple that's dating and you've got intent, I'm going to do a premarital boot camp starting in January for couples. So yeah, if you need it, if you're interested, go to my website, empowermev.com. The information is out there, but I want you to be ready and prepared for marriage. I want you to have your prerequisite list checked off. I want you to know your why. I need you to understand what the intent is of marriage. I'm going to do some assessments. I'm going to do some one-on-ones with the couples because I want you to go into marriage knowledgeable of what God desires so that your marriage can be a success. I love you all. We love you all. We're praying for you. If you need us, hit us up. Excuse me. But just know that.
And you know how to find us.
Yeah, you can find us.
I'm on Benny Burrell at
Benny M
on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me many different ways. But the Empowerment Place Ministries, we also have a web page and a Facebook page.
Yeah. So we're here for you. We love you. Any questions, inboxes, we'll address them. We can talk. We can set up some more time and chat. But just know that we're here for you, to support you, to love on you, and to let you know that marriage works. Love and blessings to each of you.